which is our Honorable Mayor Ras Baraka and Arcelia Aponte, who's Vice Chancellor of Rutgers University. Moderated by Ed Young, my buddy. Thank you, man. My pleasure. Thank you, man. All right, buddy. Thank you, Arcelia. All right, thank you, man. Come on.
Well, this is quite an event. Honored to be here with the Mayor Baraka, the Vice Chancellor Aponte. I am a child of Newark, or the greater Newark area, and I feel it's appropriate. I'm here talking with them about the Newark moment. I was born 6 days after the Newark riots, or rebellion, whatever we call it, and my entire life, I just turned 50, and my entire life has been one of Newark supposing to, it's back now, and that kept happening, but finally, now, this looks to be the moment, this looks to be the time, and it's not going to just be a moment. I want to ask you all about why this is going to be a continuous thing, and so, Mayor Baraka, I'd love to start with you and ask you, one of the things that seems to be unique about the way that this city has become invigorated and has so much potential is the Hire, Buy, Live initiative, which is unique to cities. I don't know that there's anything like it, and would you describe that and what that is?
Absolutely. I was going to question the moment thing, so I'm glad you cleaned it up.
Thank you. I know.
Because a moment seems like,
This
a
is too little,
brief period
exactly.
of time. And I think that what we're doing here is sustainable, which makes it more than a moment. Hire by Live is an anticipation of all of the kind of development and growth that's happening in the city very rapidly. And we want to make sure that that growth is inclusive. That it involves residents who've been here for decades and decades. And so Hire by Live is an opportunity to get our corporate partners, our anchor institutions together, which includes the university community as well, and the city itself, to target local residents, make sure they have a pipeline for employment, for corporations to forecast their jobs, and make sure that they connect with the city around training and other things to make sure that their residents are getting these jobs. Buy is kind of focusing your procurement dollars locally, making sure you invest in local businesses, small entrepreneurs, opportunities here that in turn they grow their business and themselves hire Newark residents. And Live is to just encourage people to cast their buckets down where they are, right? To incentivize your employees to choose Newark. And we build the kind of housing that makes it available for people to begin to live in our city.
Yeah, I would just add that you talk about moments. There was this one important moment where the mayor gathered all the city leaders in terms of the anchor institutions and said, I'm going to hold you accountable. And with that charge, many of us realized that, or certainly at Rutgers University Newark, we've been in this city for over 100 years. We sincerely believe that we're not just in Newark, but of Newark. We understood exactly what the mayor was speaking of and wanted the other anchor institutions in the city, some of them were new to the city, to look at us as an example, but also look at other partners like Beth Israel on how you can hire Newarkers, how you could provide access to our universities, and how we can contribute to the city's economic development prosperity. And so it was the mayor's leadership. And with any great city, there has to be a great leader, and we certainly have one here in Newark.
Well, let me ask, this brings up something, the live component. Whenever you're doing development in cities, you hear, and there's a fear, and I think it's justified. All in this room, let's look at it honestly. Gentrification, moving the people out of the city to move in, the indigenous peoples, you would say, moving them out. And what's unique about this situation, I believe, it came up today at the Hain building, where this building is taking place not in a traditional residential part of the city. So the gentrification issue is not an issue here. This is true economic development that potentially will make the entire city better. And that, I just applaud that. And speak about how that's planned out. And
It's not an issue today. So at the end of the day, No one lived downtown in Newark.
Right.
It's not a neighborhood. We're creating a neighborhood here to make sure that people have opportunity to live in the downtown, sustain the businesses here, to bring wealth and raise the economic growth in our city. I think it's a moment, an opportunity for us, or a window that we can use to begin to funnel the kind of economic growth and development in our city. And I think, Goldman Sachs and Prudential has been helping us a great deal in making those kind of impact investments to create a neighborhood in the downtown that did not exist previously.
So, well, to that though, there's a challenge because you need patient capital. Because you're building a residential area, and so a lot of the businesses in the area, the broad consumer base is not yet there. I see, during the day you have businesses, but many of the businesses and the people who work there don't leave their offices to come and traffic and buy. And so the capital needs to be patient. But isn't that, I think, where impact investing comes in, where you have an investor who understands a little bit different from the traditional type?
Yeah, we have, so you have pioneers, folks who've come here, who put their capital in this community, understanding and seeing the trends of what's happening, are investing here and watching it turn. And I don't think they've seen the kind of turnaround that they're seeing now, the kind of growth that's happening in our city very, very, very rapidly. The interest that's happening. We have about 5,000 units going up now. We anticipate more of those as we go forward. So we're actually building a real neighborhood in this downtown area. And I think folks see that. I mean, we are trying to become more creative and trying to help some of the smaller businesses hold on while this takes place. But I think that, a lot of businesses downtown are doing well now. I mean, some are struggling,
okay, right.
but some are doing well now.
What is being done to help them hold on? What mechanisms are you using?
Well, we with Newark Community Economic Development Corporation try to, partner with them to help them, stave through this difficult period of time, whether it's issues around parking, whether it's issues around, other kind of incentives that they need, where we create opportunities where we got Prudential's help again to encourage people to buy locally, to buy from local businesses, because there are people who actually live in the city, right? So we're not building a whole city. There are people who live here. And so the culture of that has to also change. You have to encourage people to begin to come downtown and be a part of what's happening downtown so they can see that the downtown growth is also a part of their own growth and encourage them to spend their money here in the downtown community.
So I would just add, we have a debit card system that the university uses as both a debit card and ID for the university students. And we work with the local merchants to provide them with equipment so that they can download student information, or a student can go into any of their shops and purchase an item, and without in a seamless process. The other thing I wanted to mention, I think one of the most transformative projects that has happened in this city for many years, and by the way, I'm also born and raised here in the city of Newark and attended public school here, was the Prudential's investment in their new office tower in the downtown. And certainly, in my opinion, that's the most transformative project in the city, and then led to the development of this building. And because Prudential recognized that they're just not on an island of its own. It certainly needs to, it was important for them to build a community. And I know you're going to be hearing from Prudential officials in a few minutes, but it's certainly important for them to think about the entire community, and their investment in this particular building has led us to be able to offer this great space and express Newark.
To that note, the first building that probably was invested in a large way after the Newark Rebellion was the Gateway Towers, where they had that bridge. And the bridge actually...
It insulated.
Right, and it kind of epitomized the time period where people were trying to continue to benefit from the wealth in Newark, but not touch the ground.
Right. And maybe for the people who aren't familiar, the Gateway Tower just connected people to the Newark Penn Station.
Well, you could actually get off the train, go to work, get a haircut, eat, and never step foot in the city.
Step foot on the sidewalk.
And that's what was happening. And so the tower represented something different. Even when the arena was built, the face of the arena faced Penn Station and not Broad Street. Right. And that kind of architectural design kind of limited or put a shadow over the folks that were already in the city. It was like, leave the train station, go to Prudential Arena, get back on the train and go home. So the tower, to me, represented a shift in that culture and that idea that Newark became the centerpiece, not just the buildings and the industry here, but the city itself became the centerpiece.
And it's interesting because, knowing Newark and looking at that, the tower, there's a park. There's
Right.
and, you're pulling people from part of Newark all the way through to Newark Penn Station. And this is the first time, I will say, as somebody who has lived here in the area, it is becoming a city that you can walk. And
Right.
that has not been true. And Rutgers, I think, has a lot to do with that.
I was going to mention that
It's very different. And you said Rutgers has been here for how long?
for over 100 years.
But
And-
not like this.
Right, exactly. Well, first of all, I think over the many years, it was difficult to get many of our students to really cross Washington Street and really take advantage of the park downtown. Or
You didn't see the students. I'm
you
sorry.
didn't see
you
students,
see the
exactly.
students.
And so this facility here has helped us to take a major step in really anchoring ourselves to the downtown. And now we have over 1,500 students during the semester assigned to classes here. So you'll see a lot more foot traffic, students, faculty, and staff coming to the downtown. And many of them, again, are also taking advantage of the park, but also great cultural institutions like New Jersey Performing Arts Center.
Right. I know the summer jam was just here in the area, but future years it may be coming to Newark and things like that. So.
I don't know.
See, I'm trying to pull hip hop into it. This is so. One of the things, Newark has amazing technology foundations. The 26 miles of dark fiber. Speak to what makes Newark a special place for entrepreneurs.
Well, if you can see, if you walk around, we have a lot of co-working spaces, a lot of incubating opportunities. We have a huge and growing tech community in the city of Newark. Many people kind of leveraging the fiber. This building leverages the fiber as well, uses the fiber,
Yes.
Newark fiber as well, right? So the great thing about Newark fiber is that the city owns it, like we control it. And so I don't know if that's like in many other cities in the country. We have opportunity to allow residents to have access to free Wi-Fi, to expand that in neighborhoods where that does not exist, where people don't have the kind of access to the technology that they should. And we have an opportunity to use that to lift burgeoning businesses off the ground, to encourage big companies to come into the city because of what we offer here at the same time. So the technology underground is almost, or is akin to the kind of transportation infrastructure. So now we have a kind of technological infrastructure as well in Newark.
I just want to add that it's a great benefit for our students to be able to walk through our campus using the fastest free outdoor Wi-Fi in the nation, walk through our campus, walk to Military Park, or walk over to Washington Park without losing connectivity. So that's certainly a great
They probably
benefit
have
for our
better
students to
service
have.
outside than they do in their house.
In the house, right, right. So, okay, your students.
Yes.
The Rutgers student body is the #1 most diverse. Am I getting that correct?
That's right.
Please speak to that.
Well, we're the most diverse university in the nation. We're also a Hispanic serving institution. We have about 13,000 students, roughly about 8,700 undergraduate students, and about 4,300 graduate students. And so, but many of our students, and what we're particularly proud of, is more recently we've increased the number of Newark residents attending Rutgers University in Newark. And in fact, over the last 3 years, that number has increased by almost 60%. Again, just really working with the mayor and his staff to create opportunities for more students to be able to attend a university like Rutgers or NJIT. We've also offered programs that, for example, any Newark resident, family that makes less than $60,000 a year can come to Rutgers University, Newark, tuition free. We've made that commitment to the city because it's important for us.
Wow. Okay, so, in the tech industry, diversity is an issue.
Yes.
So you have all of these things, and, as I'm hearing you say these things, the Amazon headquarters discussion, Newark is, and I just learned some things this morning, Newark is actually truly in the running more than, I gotta confess, I'm shocked, but This is
We need a new
real.
moderator.
This is part of, but this is part of being jaded because of seeing this. So, but it's so encouraging right now. I can't contain myself with, this is real. This is not a moment. This is going to be an ongoing success story. And I want to ask, does anybody have questions for either one of?
You know, I just want to say about the Amazon thing. You know, we feel like, and I understand, we feel like the Boston Celtics in Game 7 against Cleveland.
There
you
you
know
go.
what
Right.
I mean? We already won. So,
Right.
I mean, next year everybody's talking about the Celtics in the championship before it even came.
But you might be
So,
the Warriors.
you know,
It looks like that's.
I like that.
Yeah. This is a very exciting time, and
It is.
you know.
I was just going to mention that certainly it'd be wonderful that the Amazon selects Newark, but it's also important for us to engage Amazon in a discussion that the mayor was talking about earlier, our Newark 2020 initiative, because we want to employ more Newarkers.
Right.
And certainly the tech field has certainly been underrepresented in terms of particularly African American, Hispanic employees. And so how do we help them achieve greater numbers in those areas?
And that's exactly why we went after the company in the first place, to help us exacerbate or, you know, expedite our development and our economic growth that's happening in the city already, and to make sure that Newark residents have an opportunity to do that. Something that the senator said, that the opportunity to do well and do good at the same time. But now we're living in a time in America where doing well is almost predicated on your ability to do good, right? Because when you are able, there's a whole labor pool of folks out there that are not tapped. The more diverse your companies become, the more innovative, the more creative. People are moving into cities now. They want to live in diverse communities. They want to have access to different opportunities, cultures, food, languages. So it makes sense now that you create these opportunities, and that you have to build housing that's affordable for people and not lock them out. I mean, that's a national crisis. So what's happening in Newark is an economic model almost, you know, if we perfect it, you know, that people can use around the nation, because we are trying to do well by doing good.
Right. And I would just add, in many of the corporations, in their attempt to defend their low numbers, in particular around Hispanic and African American employees, they often cite that they just can't find the right skilled workforce. Well, I invite them to come to Rutgers University in New York. We're graduating more African American and Hispanic students than most anyone else in the nation. And so we're particularly proud about that. And so we do graduate students of color better than most universities.
And on that note, I think we have head mics, but drop the mic and say, you know, companies come here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very well. Thank you.
Perfect, Mayor. Ed? Okay.